Once upon a time, a little girl loved public transport. Every morning, she'd take the bus from a junction outside her house on the main road. And every day, there were all sorts of people bustling about in all different directions. People rushing to catch their buses and trams, people whizzing by in their cars. And there, in the midst of that metropolitan hubbub, were mothers and fathers marshalling their children across the road, trying to get them to school on time. Students running in order to not be late with their earphones in, people clocking into work with their shiny black briefcases, their heads bent, resigning themselves to another mundane start of the week. Workers sweeping paths, sweeping dry leaves into corners, scraping against the cold morning concrete. Joggers perspiring in their colorful spandex, grandmothers all bundled up in their overcoats and their benevolent smiles, with ridiculous lapdogs in parading prams, and rows upon rows upon rows of bored, jaded teenagers, just standing, staring, scrolling, waiting for a bus to take them to school on time, but also wishing it to never arrive. So many faces going all these different places, and all this girl did was think and wonder and daydream. She'd glance, and at a glance, she'd expect to know everything, capture everything. Stories buzzed around her ears and escaped her spying senses. She was incorrigible. Bit of a creep, admittedly. This girl that you've been hearing about is me. Hi, I'm Anahita, and I'm that creep. As I grew older, the metro served as a new location for me to catalog all of my observations. I assigned voices to people in my head. I gave them missions, purposes. I imposed my own fancy on them. I used to read into the crease of their brow, the posture in which they were sat, sometimes straight, upright, stately, the very picture of confidence, and at other times slouching, collapsing under the weight of a world that was invisible to me. They would read or chat or smile or stare absent-mindedly or cry or laugh or talk or sleep, and I would look at their clothes, their activities, their eyes and their smiles, and I whiled away my time. In every place I went, within every face I saw, this curiosity got the better of me. Every single moment in my life felt burdened by this silence, this unfamiliarity that I hated, this barrier that stopped me from getting to know who someone truly was and stopped them from getting to know me in return. So we called each other strangers. It's such a shame that I spent so much time with people, only to forget them and move on from them, and they would do the same to me. We would grow and move on from each other and not linger for each other, because that is the nature of life. You move on, you look back, or maybe you don't look back, you leave things in your past. But what is the point of always only interacting with the outside when all of the nuance, complexity, and humanity is on the inside? Have you guys read The Little Prince? It is only with the heart that one can truly see what's essential is invisible to the eye, and despite all of my seeing, there is so much I missed about the people that I brushed shoulders with. It is said that we are a sum total of all the encounters that we've had in a life. And despite this, we always only live in our own heads, perceive and feel ourselves. We lead these frighteningly solitary existences. Aside from my love of the very dignified hobby of spying and peering at people in public places, I love history. People ask me about the subject. Anahita, leave the past in the past. Move on. You know, it's just mugging up facts and dates. What's the point of that? What does that do? And you know they're right. What does that do? But I didn't learn history because of its utility. And that definitely wasn't the way that I learned it. My father was the first major storyteller in my life. Learning about history was learning about family. During the evening, during the witching hours when everything was dark, silent, and bathed in a yellow light in our family living room, he would tell me to quieten and he would say, Anahita, let me tell you about what you come from. And he told me about how my dada, who grew up in abject poverty in East Bengal post-partition, would savor the taste of egg yolks after every office meal because they were such a rare delicacy to him. He wouldn't wash his mouth for hours, even days afterwards, because that is how much he cherished those egg yolks. Even today, he gobbles them up whenever he sees them, as if he'll never, ever get to taste that again. That memory lingers with him. That's his story. That's where he comes from. And that story sustained me. That story is my story. As a child, there was this one book that I really loved, a major part of my childhood. It carried the stories of the 6 important historical figures: Tutankhamun, Napoleon Bonaparte, Joan of Arc, Charles Darwin, William Shakespeare, and Julius Caesar. It's a mouthful, right? It's called Historical Heroes by Mick Gower. And the thing about this book is that the people in it weren't heroes at all. They were perfectly imperfect, full of oddities and personality flaws and prone to making mistakes and accidents and really, really strange and silly. They were hilariously, heartbreakingly human, just like us. Tutankhamun, from one of the greatest monarchs of ancient times, became this confused 14-year-old boy who had to marry his cousin and become pharaoh of Egypt overnight with everyone at his throat. Joan of Arc, from one of the great martyred knights of Christendom, became this random teenage girl from some village in France who decided to fight for what she believed in, stand up for what she loved, because nobody else around her had the courage to do so. Nobody else was as gutsy as her. Napoleon Bonaparte, from one of the greatest generals of France, became this short, stocky, pot-bellied man with a violent temper and a stubborn streak that meant that he would only always follow his heart. He wouldn't listen to a single thing told to him. And he ended up forging his own destiny and that of an entire nation. Imagine that. Charles Darwin, a great explorer, a scientist, before he was any of that, he was a confused 20-something trying to figure himself out. So he went on a voyage and he filled oceans of puke behind him before he did anything of any renown at the Galapagos. Do you recognize some of the people you know and love in these grand tales of history? Do you maybe even see yourself? Because that's all they were. They were people. They were ordinary people who led zany, extraordinary lives, burdened by their own ambitions, highs and lows, failures and sorrows. Just like us, we lead lives similar to them with as much meaning, but we never examine ourselves through this lens just because we don't think like that. It occurs to me, it often has, that people don't see each other as people. And at the risk of repeating the word people far too many times, what I mean is you only see a sliver of the surface of someone and then you judge them based on a snapshot. You do that to yourself. You do that to everyone around you. And the thing is, fellows, you know this, but I'll say it. People need people, and for people to need people, people need to understand people. That means I need to understand you, you need to understand me, I need to understand myself. Empathy. Stories have been and are always about and will always be about empathy, fostering empathy, healing bonds, love, connection, humanity. This is how our civilization survives, has survived, and will continue to survive. Who are you? Who were you? Where are you going? Who will remember you? And what will you hold on to when your world breaks down and crumbles in front of you? It is our duty to be and to tell stories, because that is the one thing that remains when everything else that is material fades away. It's these memories, these whispered words. What do you do when your world is eroding? Personally, I'd grab my family album and bolt into the darkness. I'd hold on to those photos of my Dada and Dadi's marriage from the 80s, when they just introduced colored photography and they were looking confused and sad and hopeful about a new beginning all at once. I'd hold on to photos of my great-grandmother and my Dada's sister standing near the house that she built with her own money in Kharagpur. I'd hold on to posters, magnets, postcards. I'd hold on to the scrapbook that my mother filled as a foreign exchange student during her youth. I'd hold on to every little souvenir that spoke of life that was lived and loved, of all these experiences, because they are who I am. They are my compass. They will tell me what to do and how to build for what comes next. And now I come back to this question: who will remember you? I want to remember you. Actually, more than anything, I want you to remember each other. So I created a place where stories could last, where I would record Saunders and they would become eternal. I call this a library of people. Because, as Lemony Snicket from the series of unfortunate events once said, a library is like an island in a vast sea of ignorance. And Sonder, a word coined by John Koenig, wherein he describes an entire feeling in 2 syllables. This is what he says. And there, in the background, faint and out of focus, are the extras. That random passerby, each living a life as vivid and as complex as your own. They carry on invisibly around you, bearing the accumulated weight of their own ambitions, trials, heartbreaks, highs and lows and failures and inherited craziness. When their life moves on, when your life moves on to the next scene, theirs flickers in place, wrapped in a cloud of inside jokes and backstories and side characters and main characters and countless other things that you will never be able to see, in which you may only appear once, that you may never even know exists. And you know, that is not tragic. Things being finite, momentarily beautiful, ephemeral, isn't tragic. It's what makes them worth holding on to. It's what makes them worth holding on to. This is what hope looks like in a world in flames. Stopping, listening, recognizing one another, remembering each other. Keeping an ear out for a story somewhere out there, buzzing around you, that you'll keep in a little pocket in your heart. That you'll find solace in when the world is burning, when it's too loud. For a second, it'll feel quiet. The end.